Shuckalaka kapow, how's it going, old schoolers? You're kicking it old school with Russell JS, and I am your host, Russell JS. I am doing an album versus album, track by track. I'm feeling like being on the live side of things. Hold on, let me go get some vape real quick. Alright, now that I've had my vape, I'm ready to go ahead and do a review on these two live albums. I mean, the whole thing about the whole concept of a live album came out in the 70s when when bands were coming out with their first three albums and they weren't selling well, but their concerts were making a lot of noise, so they went out and they'd recorded live while they were on tour for the next shows to record this gem so people could have a souvenir. What great classic live albums am I putting against each other? The one that started it all, not only for this New York band whose album sales were tanking, but they had that stage show that everybody was talking about that they had to see. Not a lot of people got to go see them. That was the whole concept of the live album. You may not have been able to go to the concert, but they put out the album, and what you could do is put your headphones on, crank it, close your eyes, and feel like you're there. And the two albums that I'm putting against each other, and I don't know, I think these are going to be great contenders. Which ones am I doing? Like I said, the first one, it helped catapult the live album in the 70s. The boys from New York, the lead guitarist from outer space, the tomcat behind the kit, the star child, and the blood vomiting, fire breathing, long tongued demon. You wanted the best, you got the best, the hottest band in the world. Kiss Alive versus them boys from Gainesville, Florida. Just pure, unadulterated rock and roll. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Pack Up the Plantation live. I used to have this on CD, and there's actually tracks on this album that didn't come on the CD, and they also made a concert movie based off this as well. So without further ado, let's see how these bad Oscars rank out. And remember, if you're new to the channel, hit a like, subscribe, leave comments down the box below, ring the bell for notifications, and tell all your friends, tell your family, tell your pets, if they like to kick it old school. Now, here's the thing. I think this is going to be a real tough contender because I love most of the songs off this album to begin with. But I've got my trusty book with me, and I'm going to have to, well, my wallet's nearby, and I think there's a quarter in there, so if there's a tie, we could determine who's going to win, Kiss or Tom Petty. And without further ado, let's see how these bad Oscars rank out, shall we? Okay, Kiss Alive versus Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Pack Up the Plantation live. We've got the first track, Deuce versus So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star. Their version of that is really good, but I heard the original by the Byrds, and I kind of like it better by the Byrds more than I do Tom Petty. So I'm going to have to go ahead. Well, you know what? Heck it. I'm going to give them both a point. Let it be a tie for now. Okay. Strutter versus Needles and Pins. Everybody has covered the life out of this song, from Sonny and Cher to the Ramones. And now Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks do a duet on this. And no, this is not the classic Stop Dragging My Heart Around or Insider. This is a cover of an oldies song. And it's going up against Strutter. I'm not a big fan of Needles and Pins, so I have to give that point to Strutter. Hotter Than Hell versus The Waiting. Oh boy. Yeah, this is one of those things where I love them both. So because I love them both, it's going to be a tie right there on both those songs. Firehouse versus Breakdown. I like Firehouse because I like how I've seen all the concert footage. When they perform that song at the end, you hear the sirens wailing, the bell ringing, and Gene comes up with the sword with the fire and he just goes and slams the thing down. But also, yeah, Breakdown. Now, not only do I love this live version, I also love the studio version, but the live version to me is the best because they stretch it out. And Tom Petty starts, if you ever listen to this album, Tom Petty starts singing with the music going, and he triggers the crowd to sing the rest of the song. And after they get done, he just kind of laughs and smiles and says, God, you guys are going to put me out of a job. And they break into backup vocals, a saxophone solo, guitar solo, up against Firehouse. And you know what? I love this live version of Breakdown better than I like this live version of Firehouse. So Petty and the Heartbreakers get a point there. Nothing to Lose versus American Girl. You know what? This is hard for me because Peter Criss sings on this song, and he's my second favorite member of Kiss in the original lineup. And you know what? I love American, well, what am I saying? American Girl is okay. So is, you know what? I have to give it to American Girl and Firehouse because I do love them both. Come On and Love Me versus It Ain't Nothing to Me. Now, It Ain't Nothing to Me, this was, off the Southern Accents album, which is what they were on tour, what they were supporting the tour for. And it's one of those songs that's very underrated. And Come On and Love Me is underrated. So I've got to be fair with both of them. I like both those songs. Parasite versus Insider. An Ace Frehley penned Kiss tune. This is the part pinnacle of the band, the beginning, where Ace was the only member of the band that didn't sing. He wouldn't sing until 1977's Strutter on off of Love Gun. And it's going up against Insider. I like Insider, nice calm ballad sung, in harmony, both together by both Tom and Stevie Nicks. But in this case scenario, Parasite gets it. She. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, yeah, because I had to. Hold on. I got to do this over. All right, let's see. Deuce versus So You Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star. Deuce got the point. Strutter got the point against Needles and Pins. Oh, wait a second. Got to Choose versus The Waiting. Okay, I'm going backwards here. This is my bad because it's, because I did have to leave space in lines, for titles that were too long. So let me go ahead. Got to Choose versus Needles and Pins. Got to Choose takes the point. All right, Hotter Than Hell goes against The Waiting, and I love both The Waiting and Hotter Than Hell. So you know what? I'm going to get them. I got ahead of myself, so please forgive me. And then, yeah, Hotter Than Hell went up against Breakdown. Okay, I was right. And Firehouse against American Girl. And I did that right. Come On and Love Me versus Insider. Okay, so here's where I messed up. Here's where I goofed up. Okay. I like Insider, but I'm giving the point to Come On and Love Me. Parasite versus Rockin' Around With You. And you know what? I like them both, so I'm giving them each a point. All right, let's see what else. She versus Refugee. Now, this is one of those things where I love both these songs. And I love the way Refugee is arranged in this. So, therefore, they both get a point. All right, here we go. Watching You versus I Need to Know. Not a big fan of Watching You. It's an alright song, but I love how hard Tom and the Heartbreakers rock on I Need to Know, so I Need to Know gets a point. 100,000 Years versus Southern Accents. Love the bass solo on how that starts. Boom, 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 boom. And when it's live, that's when Gene, this is before God of Thunder was written, and that's where Gene does the thing where he's spitting the blood. And that's going up against Southern Accents, which, you know what? I love Southern Accents more because Tom is really digging deep into his Southern heritage. And, it's a great, meaningful tune. I mean, even if you were. I was not born in the South. I'm originally from Jersey, but I grew up here in Florida. So I'm giving that to Southern Accents. So right now, both albums are tied. Rock Bottom versus Rebels. Oh, this one is, yeah. Oh, wait, no. Sorry. Black Diamond versus Rebels. Again, you have what's relatable in New York at the time. People doing all the wrong things to get by, but they feel like they have no choice. Out on the street for a living, pictures only begun, your days of sorrow and madness got you under their thumb. Going against Rebels, which is again another relatable tune for anybody that was born and raised here in the South. And I love them both, so they're each getting a point. Rock Bottom versus Don't Bring Me Down. Don't Bring Me Down is a cover song that was originally done by the Animals. It was not one of the best songs. I don't really care for that song much. So I love Rock Bottom better, so Rock Bottom gets a point. Cold Gin versus You Got Lucky. Oh man. Again, two great tunes. I mean, Cold Gin, again, another one written by Ace Frehley, sung by Gene Simmons, about trying to get, some good alcohol on a hot summer day, going up against You Got Lucky, which is a tune about, a guy telling his girl, hey, you know what? You're not going to, if you think you could go ahead, if you don't think I'm good enough for you, just split. I don't care. Good riddance. And I love them both, so they both get a point. All right. Rock and Roll All Night versus Shout. Easily. Shout is that cover everybody knows, and Rock and Roll All Night is the ultimate hard rock anthem, national anthem. So easily, I got to give the point to Rock and Roll All Night. Let Me Go, Rock and Roll versus Stories We Can Tell. You know what? I think I like Stories We Can Tell much better. Again, a good, meaningful, mellow rock tune, and it's Tom Petty. And, Let Me Go, Rock and Roll, is like they're trying to do the whole thing like Rock and Roll All Night, like it's almost an obsession. So I got to give that to Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Now for the end result. Kiss Alive versus Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Pack Up the Plantation Live. And remember, I love both these albums. It's just the luck of the draw, like another content creator once said. So we got Kiss Alive with 14 points. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Pack Up the Plantation Live with 13 points. That means Kiss. This is the third win for Kiss. Right there. Right friggin' there, man. How about that? This is the third time Kiss has won one of these, Battle of the Albums that I do. And, well, like I said, I'm getting some more stuff ready. I'm about ready to make a video where I'm going to rate my top favorite movies of the, I want to say, some people will say the 2000s or the first decade of the 2000s, but you know what? I'll just call that decade the early 2000s. But, I'm going to go ahead. I picked out 10 of my favorite movies from that decade, and it was a hard choice because I got a lot of favorite movies, just like I got a lot of favorite movies of the 80s, a lot of favorite movies of the 90s. And it was always a tough choice, but I am adding an honorable mention in one of them. But yeah, I'm getting everything going. Right now, I have laundry I got to take care of. And I've got to go ahead, do that, fold my clean clothes, have an outfit ready for work. Gonna have hopefully a big day tomorrow. Who knows? Sky's the limit. This is your old pal Russell JS, reminding you to always keep it real, keep it fresh, keep it chill. Get you enough of love, get you enough of, peace, get you enough of tranquility, get you enough of whatever positivity you desire in life, get you enough of less chaos, no chaos, less drama, no drama. Keep listening to some classic old school music, watch old school movies, watch old school TV, play some Atari, play some Nintendo, play some ColecoVision, play some Intellivision, Odyssey, whatever classic gaming console your heart desires. And as always, I want to wish you Godspeed. May the force be with you always, and shuckalacka kapow.